Hey there, it's Stephanie Shea, Chief Astrologer for janspiller.com with your May Astrological Overview. We've got a few headlines this month. One thing is we are clearing the shadow of Mercury's last retrograde cycle on the 13th. So this is definitely a great month to start new projects and move forward. We'll have some extra support from Mars in Aries all month. So I think people are going to be feeling high energy and ready to initiate action. Now, we also have Pluto stationing retrograde on May 2nd. And you might think retrograde means slowing down. But when it's with the outer planets, it's really much less noticeable in our daily lives than an inner planet, such as Mercury or Venus or Mars. So I like to think of these outer planet retrogrades as much more of a backdrop. It might feel like nothing is changing, right? But it's that behind the scenes kind of energy. The coming months are going to be a really powerful time to get to the root of some of the bigger problems looming before us as a society. Remember, Pluto is retrograde in the sign of Aquarius. So there could be an emphasis on, again, like society related issues such as homelessness, the rising cost of living, the ability to create safe and loving community spaces. Aquarius rules community as well as humanitarian efforts. Now, on a personal level, I think we're going to get a lot accomplished this month. When Jupiter moves into Gemini on the 25th, we're all going to be able to benefit from our connections. It's going to be a really auspicious time for making new contacts. We've got a new moon this month on May the 7th, and it's in the sign of Taurus. This is holding support for our intentions related to financial abundance and stability. Good news there. So this is definitely a month to begin building resources and enacting plans that can benefit us later this year when the astrology may feel more challenging or limiting. A few more notes on Jupiter in Gemini. Let's see where we've been coming from here. Jupiter has been in Taurus all year so far, right? And it's going to change signs May 25th. So it will stay in Gemini May 25th, 2024 until June 9th of 2025. And this offers us the opportunity to expand our consciousness through intellectual pursuits and practices. For much of this year so far, while Jupiter has been in Taurus, we've had the opportunity to grow through our management of material and environmental resources. And it's been a really good time to look at what makes us feel secure, what our values are. And we probably were led down a favorable path when we stuck to our principles and kept our risk factor low. Now, once Jupiter makes the shift into Gemini, we might find that our greatest luck comes when we are willing to entertain new ideas and open our minds to possibilities we hadn't previously considered. Jupiter and Gemini energy will support the pursuit of knowledge, making it a great time for any type of educational activities. Both teaching and learning will be supported under this astrology, and we might see large advances in education unfold in the coming year. Now, because Jupiter rules both travel and higher education, I'm speculating that any schools with an emphasis on international relations or languages will fare especially well in the coming year. Now, in general, any area of life where communication is featured, such as the media, social media platforms such as YouTube, and apps that facilitate connecting with people anywhere in the world are slated for major prominence and growth. Our ability to connect with each other on an intellectual level is going to be highlighted in the analytical energy of Jupiter and Gemini. It's going to hopefully have a depolarizing effect, as it can help people to see many sides of the dominant issues being discussed in the world today. Now, on a personal level, I think we'll all benefit from the power of Jupiter and Gemini by learning new things in the coming year and expanding our personal and professional networks. So if we combine our spiritual guidance with factual research, we're going to end up in the right place at the right time to create the relationships and situations that we desire. Now, I've been talking a little bit about the conjunction between Chiron and the North Node so far this year. It was really active, exact in February, but it remained during March, April, and we're kind of feeling the final effects of that this month during the first half of May. So let's look at the themes, the combined energies of Chiron, the wounded healer, and the North Node, the guiding compass for our planet. Both Chiron and the North Node are in the sign of Aries, which can promote personal healing on a global scale. So as we experience the last effects of this special conjunction this month, we could witness more global events that involve people standing up for individual human rights. Our planet is scheduled to begin healing from the trauma caused by humans acting aggressively towards humans and other living beings on the planet. And there could be more focus on victims of violence as unique beings, right? Aries is all about individuality. And that can help us to prevent acts of aggression based on stereotypes and generalizations. We hope. So that's one of the things that we're benefiting from. And even when this conjunction separates, as it will mid-May, we can carry some of the messages that have been with us through the beginning of the year. And hopefully that once the healing process has gotten underway, it carries its own momentum even after the conjunction has separated. Now, I did mention Mercury clearing its retrograde shadow. That's on May 13th. So if there's smaller goals to achieve, I would take some slow steps forward as the month begins, knowing that we're gaining momentum when Mercury clears the shadow phase. You don't have to avoid initiating, right? That's my general rule. When it's just the retrograde cycle itself, I do try to avoid making new commitments. But once we're in the shadow, I say slow steps forward. Cosmic yellow light is kind of my keyword. Remember, Mercury in Aries can cause us to speak impulsively without thinking about what we're saying. So it's really wise to build in a pause before reacting or commenting on other people's opinions. That's good advice anytime, but especially while we're finishing up this Mercury and Aries cycle. Now, on the 15th, Mercury enters Taurus, and that's going to lend a grounded energy to our communications. The second half of the month is a really good time for thoughtful conversations, long-term planning, financial decisions. Anyone considering a large purchase could tap into the sensible energies of Mercury and Taurus to steer them towards the most practical course of action at this time. Now we've got Venus entering Gemini towards the end of the month. So Venus will be in Taurus, which is the sign it rules, through May 22nd. During these days, we might feel a little bit more indulgent. It will be wise to allow ourselves some pleasures, of course, within reason, but keep an eye on any tendencies to overspend or overeat. That can happen when Venus is in Taurus. There's generally a loving mood present when Venus is in Taurus. So it's a good month in general for dating and romantic activities, and will also be supported to team up with others in a business partnership or other financial venture. Now, on the 23rd, Venus moves into Gemini, putting an emphasis on strengthening our relationships through clear communication. If you have important conversations or negotiations to conduct, the days after the 23rd will be the most powerful days this month. Venus in Gemini will also support any activities related to teaching, learning, and improving our mental abilities. The end of the month will be a great time for writing projects, as well as catching up on any books we've been meaning to read, anything that can feed our mind. Now let's touch on this Mars and Aries, and then I'll tell you all about the full moon that we're going to have on the 23rd. But Mars is in Aries all month. So I think this is a good thing to be aware of, because even after Mercury has moved into Taurus and we might be a little calmer in our thought processes, We've got this Mars in Aries. It's stirring up passion. It's our desire to achieve our personal best. Mars is the ruling planet of Aries, making this a really powerful month to work on healthy expressions of assertiveness, self-confidence, and conflict resolution. When you use this energy mindfully, the energy of Mars and Aries can be harnessed to uplift and inspire ourselves and those around us. However, when Mars and Aries gets out of balance, it can increase our impulsive and combative tendencies. It'll be important to resist the urge to act before thinking. Rein in any expressions of anger that might be disproportionate to the situation at hand. So we have to use some self-control, maybe more than usual, with the astrology this month. Now, Mars in Aries can be quite a powerful force to help motivate us to overcome our fears and take a bold step towards a personal goal or dream. And when it comes to romance, strong feelings may emerge. Even though Mercury is direct, it's still important to take things slowly for anybody embarking on a new relationship this month, because there can be an urge to rush into things too quickly when Mars is in Aries. So those are some tips for navigating the energy this month. Our full moon will be the 23rd of May, and it's at 2 degrees of Sagittarius. So it's a pretty high energy month, right? Aries is a fire sign. We got Mars there. We got this full moon in fiery Sagittarius, very optimistic. So I would say anything that you would like to be kind of high profile, something that you want to expand and be more visible, try to plan it around this full moon on the 23rd. We're well outside of the shadow phase of Mercury retrograde. So it's a really forward moving time. And I think it's a great time to try to bring some of our dreams into light and see if we can actualize them and get recognized for what we've been working on so far that's maybe been hidden, or just an idea in our head. And now is the time for doing. So I hope you can make the most of May's astrology. I look forward to bringing more forecasts in the months ahead. And in the meantime, have a great month, and I hope the astrology serves you well.